Well, hello, and thanks for watching another episode of ARFCOM News, your twice-weekly dose of the finest 2A propaganda. Every other week or so, I find another example of someone who got sentenced to less time for trafficking real live machine guns than Matt Hoover and Chris Irvin got for selling a picture of a machine gun part. And if the government wasn't trying to make an example of them, if they had been sentenced like those other people who actually did break the law, those two would probably be getting out right about now.
Instead of sitting around here rotting.
But Hoover and Irvin are not. And if the Trump regime has its way, Matt Hoover will die in prison. See, this is United States Attorney Laura Cofer Taylor. She has delayed Matt's trial several times for her own cancer treatments, but she is attempting to stop his compassionate release for his own terminal cancer.
But this was a man who hated the U.S. government.
Now, if I were a journalist, it would be highly irresponsible of me to speculate that Matt's condition was seriously exacerbated by his imprisonment as a political dissident, so it is therefore Ms. Taylor's fault his condition is now terminal. But I'm not a journalist, so I am free to speculate about that to my heart's content. In any case, she is the slimiest piece of distended goat colon ever to stink up a courtroom, and if you agree, you should call Pam Bondi at the Department of Justice at 202-514-2000 and tell her to fire Laura Cofer Taylor and free Matt Hoover and Chris Irvin.
Let my people go!
But hey, it would be impossible for us to produce quality 2A propaganda without sponsors. So let's pay some bills. Today's video is sponsored by Vortex. The Vortex Defender line features a constant on emitter with no flicker and shake awake, so it's always ready. The Defender CCW is impressively compact for daily carry, the ST is a bit larger, and the XL is an absolute beast with one of the largest windows available on a micro dot. And now, all three are available with a green reticle. And by 1776 Insurance. Most homeowners' policies only cover up to $2,500 for firearms. Now, I don't know about you, but I got more than that in just optics. 1776 gives you comprehensive coverage against breakage, fire, theft, and burglary for all of your guns, and you don't have to give them your serial numbers. And by Aguila Ammunition. ARs can be hungry little beasties, but rifle ammo usually comes in boxes of 20 when standard magazines hold 30. That's dumb, and it makes puppies sad. So Aguila now packages their 5.56 in 30-round boxes. It's also available in sealed plastic battle packs to keep your ammo tasting fresh for the pocky-lips. So the ATF says it's instituting new measures to protect gun owner privacy.
I can change, I can change. I can learn to keep my promises, I swear it.
I'm sorry, I know, I can't imagine they honestly think anyone takes them seriously, but they did legit say that. You probably remember that GOA FOIA request that uncovered ATF spying. It turned out that ATF was placing an alert request in NICS, which would give them an alert when a California resident bought a gun out of state, presumably so they could rat them out to that state. Now the ATF says they will only use that system to spy on people with senior leadership approval.
But that's what they are. A conglomerate of evil.
And I'm thinking that's an awfully funny way to spell warrant. Background checks shouldn't be required to buy a gun in the first place, but the feds definitely have no business using the system for anything other than what Congress specifically commissioned the system for. And the weirdest part is they expect congratulations for this. And F-Troop is out there setting fires again. So far, no innocent women and children were killed by this fire, and they claim it's a test fire to investigate how those fires were started in Pacific Palisades. Some people are saying the ATF just likes burning, but if you wanted to test whether a fire would spread in a certain way, it would make sense that you would try to replicate with the same conditions, which obviously includes an open air test with vegetation in a different season when it's definitely either drier or wetter than it was in January. I mean, I'm no geographist, but I'll bet brush burns differently in May than it does in January. But hey, I'm just some dude and I don't have near the experience in arson the ATF has. They're doing such a good job though, what with the slightly less spying on us and setting California on fire, they deserve a raise, right?
I don't get it!
Yeah, they're asking to increase their $1.6 billion budget by another $250 million. Now, if I step back from my seething rage and set aside my desire to annihilate the agency as a whole, I can objectively see the need for any agency to increase their budget as the inflation of the monetary supply saps purchasing power from the dollar. But they're asking for a much larger increase this time around.
Our dealer, how else are we supposed to do it?
Should we give them more money? Are they more dangerous with more funding or with less? Well, Adam and Chris Murphy are pushing another assault weapon ban at the federal level, and this is going to kick off a lot of the same arguments. I think it's time we talk about those arguments because they suck.
You shall not pass!
You are not helping anyone when you waddle bravely onto the battlefield of ideas and pedantically whimper that control freaks can't even define what an assault weapon is. Now, first of all, that's literally what a bill like this does. It arbitrarily defines what an assault weapon is. In this case, basically the same as Californistan's ban. That is, it bans a firearm with a detachable magazine if it has certain other cosmetic features like a pistol grip or a barrel shroud.
Best bill they could get out at that particular time. I actually don't know what a barrel shroud is. I believe it's a shoulder thing that goes up.
And people will argue about how 223 isn't really a high-powered cartridge or point out that AR doesn't actually stand for assault rifle. They'll even try to claim M16 is not an AR-15, but all of that is missing the point. You're not going to change somebody's mind by spurging out with pedantic semantic corrections. Let's make better arguments. The Second Amendment is intended to prevent the state, be it city, county, or federal government, from having a monopoly on violence. That means it specifically protects military arms. Arguably, it only protects arms useful for combat. That concept is uncomfortable for some people, so you can either lean into it or you can take it from the flank. Ask them if they believe the police ought to be able to murder innocent people like they did in Tulsa in 1921, or literally bomb poor people like they did in Philadelphia in 1985. Or should the people wield the power like they did in Athens, Tennessee in 1946 when returning GIs had enough of the political corruption, election fraud, and abuse from local cops, so they took up arms, staged a rebellion, and kicked the bums out.
Keep your pecker hard and your powder dry, and the worm will turn.
There were shots fired, but it was combat veterans versus local cops, which is kind of like a pit bull versus a chicken. So between the vets' numerical advantage and combat experience, they managed to do it without killing anyone. Although the cops kind of did manage to stumble a few times on the way into the jail, if you know what I mean. If you haven't heard the story of the Battle of Athens before, you should definitely look into it. And come to think of it, we really need to bully Chubby Electron Guy into making a video on it, am I right? My point is, don't get wrapped around the axle with weak arguments that won't convince anyone. Stick to core principles and try to meet people where they are. What do you think? What is your most persuasive argument against restricting access to sport utility rifles to convince normies? And now, for your moment of zen.
Hey man, I'm here to pick up my new AR pistol.
Here you go. Just what I wanted. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, check that out.
What are you doing? Whoa, wait, I don't think you can do that, bro.
Incorrect. That's for vertical foregrips. This is a horizontal foregrip. See? Not a felony, felony. Not a felony, felony.
Hello, friend. Do you like pews and pew-related things? Would you like to help us keep delivering you pure American pew propaganda? We literally couldn't pay the bills without our sponsors, so do us a solid and get yourself something nice from them. You deserve it. I love you. Kofer. Kofer? Kofer? It's gotta be Kofer. That's how phonics works. Hooked on phonics worked for me. Hi, I'm Buttweed. Remember me?